What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review, doing the spectacular Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, number 304. And man, there's a lot. There's a lot I could say about this. I need to make like a pros and cons sheet. I wish I had the Grand's editing skills. I could pop up some images right here. I don't have, unfortunately, the skill in which to do that. But the writing and the overall story aspect of this, really good. The cons would be, I feel we've gone down another rabbit hole. So this is a rat, so picture this. We've, back at issue 299, the Tinkerer has unleashed AI aliens that are going to come destroy the Earth. So Spider-Man goes back in time to save that, to get intel so he can come back and they can stop the invasion. So we go down this rabbit hole. Well, now we've come back and it's, he was promised it would be the same timeline, but now we've come back and we're in that same timeline, and now we're having to deal with that. So now we're in another rabbit hole. So now we're two story arcs disjointed from the original conflict that sparked it. And that being said, the last story arc, the Amazing Fantasies, in this kick off and are very interesting, but I want to at some point be able to go back and feel the closure from what kicked everything off. And I mean, I don't have any doubt that will happen, but we are now twice removed in story arcs from the beginning. The other con about this is it's been done. This trope of the villains win, they now control or whatever a large portion of blah blah blah, and then the superheroes are either dead or work for the villains or there's a resistance. It's overplayed. It was cool in Old Man Logan. I can forgive Old Man Hawkeye because that's technically the same timeline, same universe. But Secret Empire just did that. Captain America just did that. And now, here we are again. Norman Osborn is pretty much shadow puppeting Harry as the president and making, alliances with villains. It's a little played out. That being said, if you remove that kind of story aspect, and that is the story, if you remove that, the writing is good, the art is phenomenal, and I genuinely care about some of the characters in here. So let's kind of skip the catch-up page because I just can't even look at it. I can't even. So after the last issue, J. Jonah Jameson confirmed now Peter's sister Teresa and Peter went back in time to get intel to help stop an alien invasion. When back there, Peter, of course, can't help but mess with the timeline a little bit because he's promised that nothing they do will affect the current timeline. They will be able to come back to their timeline and everything's okay. So while he's there, young Peter Parker overhears older Peter Parker talking about all the crap Spider-Man has to go through to be a hero. And then hearing that at being 17, 18 years old, decides, I'm going to hang it up. I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore. And that was the end of the last issue. So now they come back. They come back to the future. And of course, it's not right. You see this Keep Calm, Harry On, 2016. There's surveillance cameras and stuff. They're kind of like, okay, we're back. It's This is also very reminiscent of Back to the Future 2. There are so many parallels. I'm pretty sure Chip Zdarsky wrote this while watching Back to the Future 2. So they come back. Things are horribly wrong. They are immediately interrogated by an Octobot. Again, the art is pretty awesome. I like this, where like you see Peter, he just shoots two little, webs, and then it's like real fast. So they go, as they're on the run, they notice that there's a Parker building, and if now that Pete isn't Spider-Man in this timeline, he has the ability to further his tech career without the interference of Spider-Man. Which, look at that sweet hair. Also, spoiler alert, if there is no Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy is still alive and is married to Peter. So it turns out that Norman Osborn got out of prison, became a decent person, pretty much, again, funded Harry to be president, and he's working on his second term. He appointed pretty much all the villains to high-ranking positions, like Dr. Octopus is the chief of police in New York. But yeah, like, I love the interaction too between, I guess now not young Pete, alternative Pete, and Spider-Man. Here where like he tries to like hit him and he jumps out of the way. He's like, something tells me you aren't as practiced at fighting. He's like, so you might want to back off. So I mean, it goes to show that Pete really did, like all the times that Pete gave up being Spider-Man, like he really did give up being Spider-Man. Especially to save Gwen. So there's Gwen tells Spider-Man that there is a resistance of superheroes, and to go to this location and to seek them out. But this is what I was talking about too, where you get some really good emotion where, after Pete leaves, because young Pete does not want anything he's like, look, the way I help is I make cheap, affordable tech, and I give it to the masses. That's how I contribute to society. And Spider-Man's like, no, you gotta fight the villains. That's how you contribute to society. And here you see that, like, Pete is really conflicted, and he smashes his desk, and there's a picture of Uncle Ben on the wall. It says, Ben Parker, let his words lead the way. And of course, he's sitting there crying because he's like, I failed that. Then this is one of the other irritating things that I didn't like about this book. You start kind of going off onto these like sideways. So it's like normal, sideways, normal. Trying to read this in a car is very difficult because you're constantly slipping and flying. So the Resistance is Captain America, Doctor Strange, and I can only imagine this is Riri. But I can't be for sure because they never. Oh no, they do. They sure do. That is Riri. When I first read this, again, I didn't. I wasn't aware. Anyway, so they. It turns out though that this book also does something else. It gives something that Riri is not good at, and that is engineering Pym particles. She talks here, again, we go back to sideways. This could have easily been normal. I don't know why they didn't. But yeah, she's talking about how she's tried to engineer Pym particles to be able to shrink them, to get into prisons, to rescue the people, their allies and friends. And all Spider-Man's like, look, I just need somebody that knows time travel. Reed Richards is gone. Tony Stark's dead. I need somebody who can help me. And of course, Captain America's like, Well, there is Doom, but of course, you know, this is in this timeline, Doom is still a bad guy. But then you get this one line of J. Jonah Jameson. He's like, you know, hey, look, I'm gonna get out of here. You guys don't need me. And Teresa kind of calls him out on it, like, oh, what, you know, just because you're not Captain America, you don't, you know, you're feeling inadequate. He's like, don't, you know, I'm not inadequate. Like, I'm a monster behind the typewriter. You know, I've taken down mayors, blah blah. And then he kind of looks. He's like, you know, this place is so bleak. This is what it's really like without Spider-Man. And so he like kind of sees that like what he hated all of his life actually made the world a better place. That was a great line. There's still plenty more in here. Not, again, if not for the overplayed kind of trope of bad guy wins, alternative future type thing that we've had. It's a good story, good characters, good art, good writing. I still definitely recommend this series, so check it out. Subscribe over here, watch some more videos, hit me up in the comments, let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you next time.